Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. You all requested it. Today we're talking to the students. Stay tuned. Here on the campus, do you all even know who you're supposed to go to when you're stressing out?
Yeah, they always mention the counseling center to me. Yeah, I feel like I always know the counseling services are available. That's resource.
Anywhere else that you all know
I've
that you
heard
could go
about
to?
that, but I mean, I call my parents typically, but on campus, yeah.
Okay.
We could go to each other, I feel like, but
Right. So,
I'd probably go there before going to
yeah.
the
So, do you all know about a man or a woman called the ombudsman? Have you heard the term ombuds? Okay. He's, at my campus, there's a guy there that I'm hoping to interview, but this is the person that handles conflicts. Okay, so I know we're bouncing all over the place. We're gonna come back to that. I wanna go back to faculty. I did ask if you all think your faculty or your professors care, and I think I got a yes there. What happens, again, I'm bouncing all over the place. We'll come back to stress, but what happens if you have an issue with your professor? What do you do?
If I have an issue with a professor, I tend to go to a program we have here at NC State for first gen students that I'm a part of, and they have like their own advisors and coaches and things like that. So if I'm having a problem with my major and my faculty, things like that, I go to them.
Okay, so Elyse.
Yeah, my professor, I don't really know. If I'm having a problem with my professor, I don't know.
Okay. So the name that I mentioned, the ombuds, they used to call it the ombudsman or ombudswoman, they're supposed to help students resolve conflicts. So if your class or your professor, you have an issue with them, be it grading or I can't really get to my professor, we're not on the same page, we're either arguing, you go to those people. But the reason, again, that I bring this up is because I honestly don't think students know where to go to with stress, okay? And unfortunately, that then leads to depression. And as we're sitting here, there's an incident that just came out recently with some college students committing suicide. In my experience, I've been at 3 different colleges. One very large college, one very small college, very liberal Christian, and then one very community, right, environment. And every one of those institutions, we've had a case of a suicide. And I say that to say that students will be students. Students are students. Stresses will be stresses, irrespective of where we are, right? Small, big, again, I've seen it all. So I think this is very, very important. If there's one area that I really feel needs to be addressed for college or for students, for you all to experience college, it really has to be the stress, okay? Any other challenges that you all kind of have on your list that you think could be addressed? By the way, I'm gonna be talking to people, the experts, the counselors, and I'm gonna get to counselors here in a bit, but I wanna make sure that you are giving me the challenges or the questions for me to ask them when I interview them, right? So, Amy, what else do you have? What can I do to make your college survival an experience, another survival mode?
I think continuing to, teach study habits or skills. I know my first semesters, it was a challenge to get that intact of how should I study? Should I go to the library with a bunch of friends and study, or are we going to be talking the whole time and not get anything done? So it was really learning how to study that has helped me, I feel like, each semester.
Elyse, I'm going to ask the question a little different. What do you think are some of the challenges that your friends are going through? Do you have friends that probably parents are not even in the picture? Do you have friends that are struggling because they don't have food or room and board? What are some of the things that you're seeing in terms of challenges that your friends are having?
I think one could be transportation.
Okay.
I know a couple of friends who just aren't able to bring their cars here.
Okay.
I have a couple international friends too, so
Okay.
that's different, and
Right.
that's another thing. I feel like that could be a whole topic in and of
Absolutely.
itself. The international friends, like from China, they haven't been able to go home during COVID, and that's been a struggle. They haven't seen their family for 2 years, which is a long time.
Right.
And so they've been working here and just dedicated to school solely. But they have a good community. But yeah, I think I kind of got off topic. But
No, that's
okay, is that
good.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
international friends, and then transportation. So they don't really have their license either. I think also when it comes to getting a job too, it's a little hard for them. But then even just not international. But I know some people that just don't have good transportation, so that can be kind of hard. Money is definitely a big thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, a couple of things that I'm taking from our little interview here is, of course, the peer pressure one was kind of a big one for me with some of the students. And students trust to come talk to me. We've dealt with drugs. We've dealt with. Unfortunately, there are some cases. Some students are like, "Oh, Professor Chris, I don't know what to do. My friend is pregnant, right?" So we have to deal with some of those issues as well. And I've helped students deal with that. So I think peer pressure is one of the big ones, on my list of how to help students. And then the next one is a stress, and want to make sure that it doesn't get to the point where you feel like, oh, there's nothing for me to do here. Want to make sure that you also know the people to talk to. I'll be talking to counselors as well after some episodes later. I do intend to do that. Do you all know where your counselors are on this campus? Would you even go to them, or have you even been to a counselor?
I do know where they are on campus. I do know how to reach them, but
You haven't had a need.
but that's the thing. I prefer to go off campus to get a counselor, and
Why is that though? That's very important, and I'll share with you why my students don't want to go to the counselors. Yeah.
To me, it was more like I want to separate this from school. Like I don't want this to be intertwined in an aspect. So I feel like it was more personal to kind of separate the things, like, oh, home over here, school over here. And I don't want to do counseling with school. Instead, just find a counselor off campus to deal with that on like its own thing.
I actually don't know where the counselor's office is.
Okay.
But I feel like I could find their number on like a website, but I've never been
Right.
or anything. I feel like honestly it probably would help if I did go
Right.
when it comes to like planning out my classes, because I'm thinking about that too.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure that out. But yeah, I have not.
Done. Okay. All right. So my students will not go to the counselors for several reasons. One is trust, right? They don't feel like they could go to someone they don't know. And that's why I will be talking to some of the counselors to kind of help them as well to see how they can open their doors more or kind of engage students to feel comfortable going to them, all right? So that's one thing. Professors and conflicts, you all need to know definitely who to go talk to deal with that. I'm happy your professors, you can easily go to them. You can always reach them if you want to. And I'm also happy that you feel like they care, which is good. All right, unless of course you're holding things back, don't want to tell me things. Okay. Very quickly, I definitely will be ending with, the depression issue and how to kind of help you all do that. But very, very quickly, we need to talk about balance. Okay. Your academics is first. I know you're all in a very big school here. There's always events going on. What are you all doing to balance work? You're able to do that okay? Schoolwork, fun. What are your how you are doing so far as balance goes? You think you're balancing okay?
Funny enough, someone told me like it looks like you have a lot on your plate, but at times it's like I can't really feel it because I'm just really going through it. And it's like at the end it's like, whoa, I did all these things because I like have work study. And then I also, apart from that work study, I work with a like professor to do research. And then I even have a job off campus that I just go to like once a week. But so they're like tiny little things, but I guess they do kind of add up. But I just kind of cruise along with it. And then, like you said, try to find at least one fun activity per week to just know that, okay, from Monday to Thursday, I'm going to do all the schoolwork that I can do. And on Friday, I'm going to go watch a movie with friends, or I'm going to go eat somewhere, like just that one day for it.
Elyse, what do you do for fun?
Oh, we do different things. We
Okay.
watch movies.
Okay.
We were thinking about going to Charlotte. Like we take a couple quick trips together. Yeah, it changes,
Right.
but
Okay.
yeah.
Right. So mainly for students, when it comes to balance, I think school is one. There are those who have to work, right, to kind of pay for food and everything else. So that's the other thing you have to balance. And then you have social. I think it's important, by the way, that you all find some way to balance this out.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheating. Yeah. And I'm not talking about relationships. I'm talking about, is there peer pressure? I guess it falls under peer pressure. Do you have the urge to cheat to make your classwork easy? Do you know friends that indulge in that? My students tell me, Professor Chris, I don't want to, but that's what everybody is doing, right? If I want to get an edge, that's what I have to do. Do you all have the edge, or have you all been tempted to cheat in class, whether homework, on exams? Has that ever crossed? You're all so quiet, so I'm guessing the answer is no. It's like, I thought about it, but I don't do it, so I'm not gonna say it. And sure. So yes, go ahead.
I just think there's always that temptation, I feel, in the aspect, because I feel like I just want to know it's 100% right. Like, even if I like do it and it's like that confidence is not enough to know that I won't fail. So it's like that temptation of like, oh, well, if you double check, then maybe you're going to get it, like it's going to come out perfect in that aspect.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of online resources.
Okay.
And being the shift of like online too and in person, it's just kind of like it comes to you a lot of times.
Okay.
But I feel like cheating just isn't the same as it might have been a couple years ago, where you would have to like go out of your way to find this and that. And I feel like I kind of, for some people, they could use it to help them in a way. Like help them learn more about certain things, but I don't. It's kind of hard because I would need to know what someone defines as cheating, because with papers there's plagiarism, and that's obviously direct cheating. But then also there's like actual open note quizzes, right? And so I just feel like the definition of what would be considered cheating in certain aspects is like what needs to be defined. But yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and kind of summarize things up very quickly to kind of see where I could help. All right. So we started with faculty, and I think that is all your professors. I always think that's the most important thing. I did ask the question as to who is your best friend, or who you think should be your best friend. I honestly think your professors should be your best friend. I know. And it's like, yes, and that is probably the same reaction that you get from most students. And the reason I say that is we talk about your first semester, the challenges you have during your first semester. That first semester is also the time that if you could find one faculty that you could connect with, if that faculty doesn't even teach your classes anymore, but you know that's the one professor that I could go to, your whole year in college, that professor will be there for you every time, okay? I need you to think about that a little bit. I'm gonna do a whole episode of the 10 things you need to experience college very well in a whole different episode where I'm just going to highlight 10 points, and that will be one of them. Okay. So very quickly, anything you would like for your professors to do in general for you to make sure that you have a good college experience. Because I'm going to be talking to a faculty. I play the angel's advocate when I'm talking to my faculty on my episode so we can address some of this issue. Anything you will want your professors to do better so you get, that's a better question. Anything you think you want your professors to do better so it will help you in your college experience?
I don't know. I feel like it's because it's also how we kind of are or how I am. I feel like I can feel like they're caring for me, or they can give me extensions or just anything, but I'm not going to go to them if I really need anything. So that's why I don't think there's actually one professor that I can say that I built such a relationship that I can go back to them and say, I need help in this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Elyse?
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to
anything you think they could do better?
Anything
they could do better to help you?
Maybe
they're doing great.
Maybe I feel like if someone, let's say if they haven't been to class or they're late often, instead of getting upset, I think it would be interesting if they actually sat down and met with them to try to figure out more. Yeah. I would just say intentionality.
Okay.
And if you want to know more about someone's actual life, I guess they would have to go out of their way to actually ask questions. Okay. or to maybe share stuff in their own life.
Right.
I had a professor who recently, the other day, he was able to share how someone in his family had passed away, and he was just telling us how that might affect the way that he teaches on that day, his mood, basically. And I thought that was something I'd never experienced from a professor,
right.
Actually being vulnerable in that
right.
way and being honest about why they might be feeling some type of way or why they might be acting different. I just feel being open on your side would probably make your
right.
students more open.
And that's a very important thing you touch on that we didn't even touch on here is loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a faculty that is that vulnerable to really tell you that students lose people and still have to balance, come to school and pretend like everything is okay, right? So we go back to who do you talk to, be it a student, who do they talk to make sure that they get the help they need to go through school with loss. So faculty, when I meet with faculty, sure, I will address those little issues that you mentioned. And then we got to peer pressure. And again, I'm very happy that, faith-based, so you know what to tend to, but most students don't. Right? Most students don't. So what do they do? Probably the best option here is to find the counselors, right? Find somebody to talk to. I like the fact that if you have a friend that has kind of the same system, it helps, right? Yeah, your friends are always going to be the first one to know what is happening to you, and they will provide some suggestions. And I hope those suggestions are good suggestions for you all. Okay. All right. And then we got to management, balancing things out. Your academics is always first, and I know you all prioritize that, so that's also very good. And please stop me as I go through this. If there's anything else that I'm missing, I'm just trying to kind of summarize this here very quickly. So you're all doing very good with balancing. Try to find time for yourself as well. It kind of helps with the stress levels. And I probably will end on this is, don't stress. College is really meant to be an experience. Find the resources that you all have. You all have a lot of resources. And if nothing, right, the goal of all this here is to make sure that you know where those resources are and where to go to. And whatever you do, don't cheat. Your professors don't like that. It's like this switch for them, for whatever trust they have for you, the instant they find that out, and no matter what you do, it's very difficult to gain that trust back from them. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Oh, I do
So,
have something to add with
yes.
that one too. And it's also a little different too when it
Okay.
comes to my major because
Yes.
we have few tests in art and design at least. So there's there's open up quizzes outside of that, but in other classes. But when it comes to art design, it's like you either have a creative idea or you don't, right?
Okay.
Or you either create something or you just don't. Like there's no way you could, or it would be obvious if you take someone else's idea in that. So when it comes to that, it's like there's no way you could get by without not you. But.
Amy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just taking it in.
That's good. That's good. I was hoping to be taking it in from you, but that's good. Anything you want to say, comment on to make your college life or your college experience better as we wrap up here? Anything you want to add?
I think kind of like what you mentioned then throughout, like just changing that mindset that you do gotta experience this because, right, it's gonna end. It's gonna come to an end. So just changing that mindset out.
All right.
I think I do have one question though.
Yes.
This is kind of different. But...
Well, I should actually have given you the opportunity. So let's do that. Yeah. What questions?
Okay.
I'm not even gonna pretend. I'm still a professor. So questions. Yes.
Yeah. So outside of college,
Yes.
because I feel like the demands aren't really gonna go anywhere. It'll just be different kind of demands. What would you do with like when it comes to needing counsel or needing advice when outside of college? Because you won't really have those resources. But
Okay.
I feel like the same thing. Like how do you, I don't know, make things better?
Right. So usually what I tell students is when you're in college, when you're in school, there are three things that I need you to remember so far as help goes. The very first person, of course, is going to be your professor or your faculty or your teachers, right? Because they are the immediate ones to talk to. But sometimes there's a limit to what they could do. Because if you go to your professor with, I'm stressing out, I don't know what to do, right? They might not even be able to handle that, but they're in a position to direct you to go see someone. And usually they will say the counselors. Okay. So far as your question, when you go outside, yes, you graduate. Yeah, you graduate. Now your resources are actually also going to be external. They are external counselors, right? They are, they're therapists, but I like to approach it from the faith base. And I know, that is the very easiest one. And then personally for me, the most reliable one to go because you do have people surrounding you with that can help you. But no, they are counselors off campus. They are counselors. Actually, Amy said, I like to do my counseling off campus. So she's already started that process. But yeah, there's definitely help off campus. Yeah.
I guess one question is just to what, as a professor, do you think, how can students feel that comfortable to come to you with things?
That's a very good question. So students will have to trust you ultimately. And you as a faculty, you're doing two things. One is you absolutely have to care. One, if you do care and you honestly do care, and I repeat that again, students will see that in you and they will come to you. Now, students have two-step process. This personally from my observation. Students will come to you first to assess your caring ability. If they realize that you care, that is when they transition to trust. And the trust is going to come with them telling you something and nobody else hearing about it. That's called confidentiality, right? And for me, I think over the years, I still have students that have graduated 5-10 years ago that still stay in touch with me. And also that's why I feel like I'm very honored to be in this position to do this here because I honestly want to help. I definitely want to help students' college experience be better, right? So that is how there's not a technique, there's not a strategy. It's something that has to evolve naturally. You, the professor, absolutely have to care for your students to know that you care so they can trust you. It sounds very simple, but it's not, because I know a lot of professors, or I know a lot of students who will not go to their professors for anything because that is not there. And case in point, that is when I have my students and I say, okay, I'm going to help you, but there are counselors for you to go to. There's that hesitation, right? Because they don't see the counselors, don't know them, so they don't know where the care is going to come from, let alone the trust, right? But you all have told me you have professors, faculty that you think care. That's the very first step. Take it from there and see if you could trust them. And if the professor really does care, that will not be a problem. Well, that is the end of Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. I do promise and hope to take this the next step, to talk to the people that we talked about indirectly, right? To see how they can make college life experience good. And thank you all for being on Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris.
Yeah, thank you.